Hi everybody, Patrick here from www.engineeringshock.com and www.electroniclessons.com. I want to show you our LM317 variable power supply module. A little bit different than the power supply modules we've had in the past. We do have these in kits if you don't want them already built. But let me show you, what makes this interesting is it's built for both AC input and DC input. So if you have the output of a transformer, say up to anywhere from 10 volts AC to 30 volts AC, 36 volts AC max, there is an onboard bridge rectifier circuit, 4 diodes here, that will rectify it, and there's onboard filtering capacitors, or not filters, smoothing capacitors. Anyway, but if you want to use DC at the inputs, you have a few options. Since the bridge rectifier circuit is there, you can actually still feed DC to those 2 points, and it doesn't matter which hole you use for positive and negative because of the 4 diodes. Now, if you need a theory lesson there, you just really have to know a little bit about bridge rectifier circuits. But however, if you do that and you are using DC and you're using the AC inputs where the wires are currently, you're going to get two voltage drops along 2 diodes. So the best way to do it is if you actually see the circuit diagram on the listing on eBay through electroniclessons.com, you'll see that you can, instead of soldering to the AC inputs, you can solder to the ground DC input, which is actually on the other side right here, or the positive DC input, which is basically the tops of these diodes. So you can feed up to 36 volts AC, 36 volts DC. It's rated for 1 amp. I use them all the time for charging supercapacitors. We sell supercapacitors on our store, and you get them for a discount price at engineeringshock.com. So have a look. There are 2 output pins. As you can see, I've got a positive wire coming from the other side and a negative. If you see the listing, there is a diagram of the bottom. Again, we also sell these in kits, but I have yet to put together instructions because the kit doesn't have instructions. I have to make a video of me building one, so that's coming soon. So if you have any questions, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to show you placing DC at the input. Okay, so right now I'm actually putting DC at the 2 AC inputs. I'm not bypassing the bridge rectifier. So I've actually got 10 volts DC on the AC inputs, and what we're reading on the multimeter is my output. Now we're missing about 2.15 volts. Now those are the cumulative voltage drops along the 2 rectifier diodes. And if you wanted to get between 1.25 volts and 10 volts of the output, right now I can still vary the output. That's what this is for, right? We want to get a variable power supply going, and we can do it. But what we ideally would want to do, if we're not using the bridge rectifier, we're using AC, what we would want to do is we would want to bypass the bridge rectifier circuit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to bypass it, and we'll see what the maximum voltage is here. Now keep in mind that we've got 10 volts at the input, 10 volts DC. So I'll bypass them and I'll show you. Okay, so now I recalibrated my power supply for 9.5 volts, and what I've done is I've placed my positive DC input, which is the yellow wire, and bypassed the diodes. Hopefully you can see it. These are my AC inputs, and I'm not using them anymore. I'm using my negative, my DC negative, my DC ground, which is my green alligator clip, and I'm clipping to the bottom of these diodes. And if you look at the listing, you'll see this up close on one of the pictures in my listing, the DC plus input and the DC negative input. Anyway, so now we've got an output, a variable output of 9 volts down to 1.25 volts roughly. So really wonderful. Now what I can do is I can up my voltage at the DC input. I'll use this using my let's say, I'll see how high I can go. Okay, 18.39 is what I have at my input now. 18.39, so just about a volt drop. And this is by bypassing the diodes. We'd see about 15 or 16 volts if we use the AC inputs. But we're using DC the input, so this would be the best way to do it. And you can solder directly to the bottom underneath. So anyway, now we can the LM317 can handle 1 amp. Right now we've got a variable power supply that'll output anywhere between 1.25 volts and 17.31 volts. So if you want to use a wall wart, great. Wall transformer, use a battery, use it in a circuit. I use them in solar circuits, supercapacitor circuits, you name it. Again, we're going to sell these in kits as well, so you can put it together. You'll save a couple bucks. Be a fun little project that'll come with instructions that are made by me. Again, visit www.engineeringshock.com and electroniclessons.com. Visit our eBay store. Ask questions. We're happy to help. Thanks again for watching, guys.